Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Am I? What happened? Apparently, are we? Yeah.
Testing 1 2 3.
But your video audio have gotten right back. I can only assume that it's a YouTube issue. We had a bit of this last week as well. I'm looking down, and we've still got on the diagnostics LEDs. We still have full traffic. We're pulling about 3 megabytes a second, so we're still in the green at 60 frames per second. That, it would appear, I'm afraid, it's YouTube issue. So if we do go off again, do let me know in the chat. And what I'll do is I have to resolve to typing out messages. But where were we up to? Yeah, it's almost like using the word antique is a sort of a sales tactic.
Well, it isn't as it's.
If they just said second-hand bric-a-brac, they might not get the kind of throughput.
Stop it. Yeah, no, we do. Pretty much. Most antique dealers say they're antique because their interest, their experience is in antiques.
But it doesn't mean they'll turn down other stuff.
But their bread and butter is what they can get cheap and sell on expensive.
Yeah.
So, for example, one dealer I worked for many years with, Melvin, who is now retired, he would go all over the place and get spare parts for cars and for tractors because that was a good way of sourcing money.
Is he the guy you said who had a cache of Volvo parts?
Yes, but they've gone now. Philip Page, do they still sell chains at Welshpool Station? Yes, they do. They only sell Oxford models though now. That used to be a great place for getting second-rate Hornby stuff because it was all worn box from other stores. No, they don't sell there anymore. There is, however, a good antique shop it used to be called Lamplight, which was down by the town hall. They used to sell any working locomotive was £25, regardless of anything else.
Right, so you could have a DCC sound, all singing, all dancing, Hornby Class 31 for that.
For 25.
Or one of those little Hornby pocket rockets.
Pocket rocket 101 is 25. So is Bachmann DC. In fact, no, actually, the Bachmann would have been less because
it's Bachmann. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, no one wants Bachmann, and it's a really sad fact that he never got people who wanted Bachmann.
And the funny thing is, presumably in America they have the opposite thing, where Bachmann is a very recognised name, and Hornby is presumably something people go, what is this Hornby thing?
It has still got a lot of brand recognition elsewhere, but I assume so. That's the case.
Yeah, because Bachmann is an American brand, so Bachmann has huge brand recognition over in America. Hello there, New Mills Model Railway. Good to have you along. Fly Mode Chairman 1. The last half hour is now available when I refreshed my page. So that suggests that there's some kind of error with YouTube.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of confused. Just what?
Yeah. Matt Ovell, you're back. Refreshing the page was a bad idea, though. It took me to a reply from the beginning of the stream. Thank the internet overlords for the back button. Lil Goth, seeing the topic reminds me of my comment the other day about 3D printers. I have a model I found online that I am planning to print tomorrow, still using regular wheels, though.
Yeah, 3D printing is quite useful. It depends on the printer, though. So some prints can be horrendous if you've got the wrong printer.
Yeah, but it's a technology that's quite fast moving.
Definitely.
10 years ago, it was in the realms of tomorrow's world. Now it's something that you can do at home. So to go back to the topic title, this must mean that you have got a fabulous personal model railway collection.
No, it actually led to a pretty interesting situation for me, which was I can't buy everything. No antique dealer can just buy and keep everything.
I know, but you must have quite a sizable personal collection.
No, I only actually have 25 locomotives.
Really?
That's personal policy of mine. I don't do DCC. I've had controllers through, I've had locomotives through, but I've never.
So do you de-chip them then? Or...
No, I just sell them on. And I buy what I find is interesting.
Right.
So,
And what in the model railway world of Derry is your personal interests?
just anything out of the ordinary. I've got 080, so someone scratch built 080 Hecate from the Kent and East Sussex Railway.
Right.
Which is actually really fun in itself. A great little engine, and it's fitted with a skew wound 5-pole motor. Runs like a dream, and is the correct thing to be running with the railway guns. Interesting.
Now, that actually, it does make me think. To go back to these house clearances, presumably in amongst all of the mass-produced, ready-to-run stuff, you're getting some amazing kit-built items as well, scratch-built items, for similar kinds of money.
Well, you are, and it's one of the really curious things, and it's one that I see it shows a bit as well. Everyone knows the price of a ready-to-run model because it's there. You can look it up.
You know what it cost when it was new, and the finish is that out of the box from the factory, it has a certain standard of finish.
You can do you don't. Well, some people can just recite them off like that as to what they are, but with a kit-built model, you don't know what the motor is. You don't know what you can see from the outside. It looks good, but you don't know any underlying problems.
So you're saying they actually probably go for a lot less because they become an unknown quantity?
The last 3 that I bought, and I bought them from actually quite an expensive, normally a very expensive dealer. That one was only £5, and that was because it.
What is this? Is for the 8-wheel locomotive?
No, this isn't for an 8. This was for a K's kit, GWR pre World War One, 060 tender engine. Which had been well built. Someone had refitted it with a brand new 5-pole motor. Mm-hmm. It had Slater's wheels, and it was a well built kit. Someone had just finished painting it.
Oh, interesting. Max's Hobby Productions just tweeted Team YouTube about the stream crashing issue. It's been affecting others as well. A lot. Hopefully, they should get back to me soon, and this should be fixed. Oh, well, thank you very much for that.
Thanks for that.
I did suspect it was a YouTube issue because we're still sending data out, and the fact that the chat was still working. Normally, if it kills your feed completely, the chat would disappear as well. Evening to New Mills Model Railway. Oh, we've already read that out. Dovan's GWR. I'm currently restoring my Metcalfe GWR station building to go on my rebuilt platform. That should be built next weekend. I'm looking forward to that. Certainly always good to motor on through stuff. And somebody did ask about the loft layout, and there's going to be another big update on that on Friday. It's our regular Friday video, just to remind people. And there's a lot been going on, actually. Derry's seen it. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret, because I'm about 3 videos ahead of where you guys are. So I've got to be careful how much I reveal, because I don't, blow the next few videos. But I'm the reason I'm 3 videos ahead is because I'm filming so much stuff, because I'm making so much progress, that it was just got too long to fit in 1 video, and then it went to 2 videos. Now it's gone to 3. So there's some great progress. So look out for Friday's video, and hopefully on Wednesday, there's going to be a box opening and review going up. So, just doing some admin here for the channel. I've got a big pile of stuff. In fact, I was showing you the North British J36.
You have got it stacking up, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. It's like the perils of being somebody who just buys everything that's shiny. But we're talking about things that I've been buying going back to Alexandra Palace and
before. So that's nearly up to Christmas in some of them.
I think I've got a GMPTE Class 108 from Bachmann, which I bought that at the end of January. So that's how out of how much this stuff's stacked up. I'm not just buying stuff willy-nilly. It's just that I haven't done any box openings and reviews for a while. Where were we up to?
We were up to the GWR outside framed 060 tender engine. Someone had hand painted it. It's glorious.
And was that to a good standard?
No. It was. In fact, I was told afterward who had modelled it. good former friend of mine, has since passed away,
Mm.
who did do custom handmade models in his just what he does for fun. It's a stunning model, and that was only £5 because they just couldn't get the price right based on what the book said.
Yeah, because there was just nothing to compare it to. But
Yeah.
so is the moral of this that actually, firstly, you should be going around the sort of antiques traders looking for stuff, but also keep your eyes skinned for kit built and unusual ready to run models, because if they've been made to a really good standard,
Yeah.
you're getting yourself an absolute bargain. You basically cannot be robbed. Philip Page, do you have any Triang locos? I certainly don't.
So many. Oh, they are so everywhere.
They are
That
ubiquitous.
it is genuinely more financially useful to strip them out and sell the motors on eBay for £8, because
Are they considered completely worthless?
the models themselves are useless, and the wiring, the wheels, everything just wears out with the age. But the motors, the XO4 motor is a stunning little motor which just goes and goes and goes.
I thought the Triang were the XO3. They're the
XO3, XO4 was pretty much the same again, but with the brass
right,
worm
right.
and a couple of other adaptations. The XO3 and the XO4, both brilliant little motors and used a lot by kit builders of a range of scales, O gauge, W, and continue on. But no, Triang, they get so many.
Josh Ryan, what do you think of the new Hornby Terrier? I've done a review of this actually. You can look back and see my review of the Hornby versus the Rails Terrier that I did at Alexandra Palace. Rails were kind enough to lend me their pre-production Terrier. And I think that they're both good models, but what's clear is that the Rails stroke Dapol one has the edge. There's a lot more attention to detail. The Hornby one feels rushed. Now that isn't to say that it's a bad model, it's just that it's not as good as the Rails Dapol one. So if you want to see more on that, go back and have a look through and have a look at my Rails exclusive Terrier video.
XO3 was slightly smaller than the XO4. Well, thank you for that one. I thought they were the same size. Okay.
Oh, right, so they're not interchangeable. Was it Stamford Junction? Have you heard about the Hornby Class 800 derailing issues? I have two, and both derail as a 5-car set, but not when running as a 4-car set. Yeah, I believe Brian, who you've seen in previous weeks as guest of this programme, has had a similar issue. But he put it down to his track work, actually. But it's interesting. If Brian, if you're watching, there's somebody else there with the same issue. Flymo Chairman 1. When I go into charity shops and second-hand shops, I scan for the red of the Hornby boxes and the Lima Mainline and Juef logos, Italia. I have to say that for me, the Hornby boxes, but also Bachmann boxes, I am tuned to be able to pick out Bachmann boxes as well.
Actually, charity shops are a really bad idea, and especially large chain ones, because they don't do house clearances. They don't get that. They get what people donate, and people donate what is bad.
Yeah, people donate the dross. I've seen model railway equipment in charity shops before now. It does happen from time to time. And generally, I find that they massively overestimate the value.
Yeah, the only few times I've had anything good, British Red Cross are generally atrocious, but they do occasionally get some really nice models in, but they move them to places where they know they sell. So what I could recommend on that scale is, if it's a large chain place like Red Cross or Bernardo's, kind of ask around. Places with an interest will sell more of a certain item. Yeah. So, yeah, other than that, they'll just put more testers out. There's a cheap wagon there. Let's have a look. I think I know Red Cross, a shop near me got really attacked for just buying brand new Dapol stuff to see and test the water with, and selling them way over as well.
Yeah, I've seen it in Oxfams as well, where they've had effectively Hornby Railroad items, and they're trying to charge like £20-30 for a wagon, and it's like, oh, it's model railway stuff, it must be worth a fortune, and it's not. So be very careful. The same goes for vinyl records, I've noticed, from charity shops. Some of the charity shops is trying to take this view that, oh, it's retro, it must be worth a lot of money, and I'm finding in a lot of instances, they're charging far more than what the actual going rate is for things. Let's have a look down some of the other comments.
Oh, we've got a discussion about wheels here.
Oh, yeah. Sellers have been producing reprofile wheels for use. Is this about Triumph?
Yeah, this is about the Duction trip there. Shells remains.
Yeah, because they're quite coarse flanges. I believe the original Triang and Hornby 00 track was closer to code 200, which is... Yeah, I mean, we're talking... It's like... It's more... It's...
it is, because
on a part of what the O-gauge track is. But it means that the wheels have a lot of issues with code 100 or smaller track. Certainly code 75 is a no-no. And you see the same with N-gauge, where you've got code 80 versus code 55. They do say that there's a lot of the older models just simply cannot run on the code 55 because their flanges are so huge. You can replace the wheels, or if you have access to a small turning lathe, you can lathe them down. But just remember that it's easy to take something off, but you can't put it back on if you make a mistake. So just to be very careful, otherwise you end up with massively undersized wheels. So it's certainly not for the faint-hearted. Interesting. Russell Benton, I'm running Triang from 1965 on code 100 without issues. Yeah,
they did reprofile when they introduced Super. Was it 2 or 3? Well, one of them was basically what we now call Code 100, while Super 4 and 1 were both larger.
Right. I know that Hornby 00 items run quite happily on Code 100 Pico Streamline. Although Hornby 00 was always considered sort of the Rolls Royce of sellers, of manufacturers. Flymo Chairman 1, hey, some dross, some nice stuff. Some places aren't allowed to sell electrical goods and they take it to the nth degree. Yes, the vinyl is costing more. Raildar.
That is actually a very interesting comment. A lot of places don't do it because of their return policy. Others have something which we like to call the bottle of wine theory, which is, or Schrodinger's wine, which is, sure, the label says that it's got a bottle of wine in it, but we're only selling a collectible bottle. We're not licensed to sell wine as an antique shop or anything similar.
Has that actually happened?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And is that even legal? Does the taxman see it that way? So you basically, we're selling the bottle. It's up to you what you do with the content.
And similarly with models, we don't need to test it. Therefore, we are selling you a model, not a working electrical appliance. We only expect you to look at them. And therefore we don't have to sell them. You
were sold what they deemed to be an ornament one time, which turned out to be a fully working loco, right?
Yes, that happens a lot with N-Gauge and 009. Both of them, you are left with this idea, especially after there's been a recent range which has done them in plastic on little plinths, where there's just this theory that they're too small for motors.
Yeah, you've got to remember that you or I we know we'd find that a really stupid concept, but for people who aren't into model railways, all the nuances that we're familiar with go out the window. So it's like a friend of the family down somewhere in Essex, and she's got this massive collection, and it's just, to her, it's just junk. She has no interest in it. Wouldn't know where to begin. I asked her if she had any photos, and she sent me a photograph of a pile of curver crates, and it's like, well, that's very nice. I could go to Boxes R Us and see that. I want to see the contents, but to her, it's like it's like Greek. And when it comes to the smaller scales, there's a lot of people who are probably of an ancient mindset that it's like, oh, it must be an ornament because how could that possibly work? Yeah, and the smaller you get, I mean, I can imagine T-gauge. Probably just gets slung in the bin because it's like, so, to some people, it's like, oh, well, look at this novelty that came out of a cracker.
And N-Gauge does that occasionally as well. It was one that certainly there was a shop in Wolverhampton. I'm not going to say the name because he's embarrassed about it. Mm-hmm. He had a display case which was filled with handmade, well done 009. So 009 is quite an expensive scale, especially about 4 or 5 years ago before the ready-to-run stuff came out.
Yeah.
And it was very limited on what you could get. And this guy someone had modelled all of the double fairleys, all the single fairleys, made all the kits. Done
So
all
it was
that.
all like the Fastidiog locomotives.
Yeah. Well, they'd also done stuff like the Glyn Valley Tramway, Tallyclyn, all those ones.
So it was like all of the picture postcard
Yeah.
narrow gauge railways from around the UK.
This guy had made them all, and they all worked. The big problem that he had was he thought that they were all models, they were all toys, or even worse, they were, I think, he thought they were ERTL.
What's ERTL?
Thomas the Tank toys, the
Right.
old ones. And he thought they were those, and so was there going 50p, I guess, per item.
So who was the lucky person who hoovered these up? Was this you?
Yeah, of course it's me. At the time, he also then walked into the back and pulled out a full load of like a full box of brand new Pico Flexitrack in 009, points, all the additions, even a controller, which I went, you do know that's a controller for these, so they must... And he just didn't know. He just thought, oh, they're too small for a motor.
You bought it all then, and what did you do with all this stuff?
Well, I sold it to a friend who had just then started in 009.
So you must have made an amazing profit if you're paying 50p a loco. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
it's ladies and gentlemen, this is just it's so for people like you or I who are used to going into proper model railway shops, maybe going to model railway shows. This is just such a surreal concept that this stuff is out there. And is this the sort of person that this deal that was selling is at 50p a pop? Was that in a shop that anybody could have just walked into and gone, oh, how much are they?
Yeah, it was just in a regular normal shop on a slightly iffy area of Wolverhampton, to be fair, but in an area where there was a line of shops. It was just any shop anyone else could go into. In fact, he had a few O-gauge items in the window, which were quite impressive, which had got my interest first.
Did you buy them?
Nope.
What was wrong with them? Were they just you ran out of money by the time you bought all this 009?
No, I only paid him 20 quid.
How many locos did you get for 20 quid?
No comment. That did include the wagons on the track as well, but
oh, it gets better and better.
it does. No, the O-gauge stuff. It didn't actually work. Again, it kind of contributed to his theory about the models themselves.
Somebody's asked there. Don't suppose you know of any up in Scotland talking about local auction houses? I mean, are you only familiar with this sort of?
I only work my own area.
It's very territorial in the antiques business.
It's not. No, there are people which travel all around with shows who go all over the place. I know one or two who don't have physical shops but just sell to other dealers. We call them movers. But I personally don't go to Scotland often enough to work it out or see work out shops or whatever. So I can't actually answer that. I don't know any in Scotland.
But they will be there.
They will be, yeah, as long as there are modellers who pass away, unfortunately, without any plan, there will always be.
Yeah, and it kind of what it brings home is, what do you want to happen to your collection when you pass away? I mean, we none of us live forever, and it's all very well laughing and joking about, oh, the other half thinks I've paid peanuts for this, but if you pass away before them, or indeed at some point maybe your children as well will be left to dispose of your collection. Do they actually know it's valuable? Could you bear the thought of your pride and joy going for 50p a pop? And because the thing is, what you also have to remember is that antique dealer wasn't losing money on that at 50p a pop, was he?
He wasn't, no, because I went and asked him. He had bought it. He'd actually cleared out the Wolverhampton auction house. That was a police and council clearance.
So this is stuff that people who were living in council houses who passed away, and there was no next of kin.
That lot had failed in the auction. Hadn't even no one had even bid at £2. And
but why? Surely that was a slam dunk.
It was, but only select people who know about these auctions, who monitor them, go to them.
So what you're saying is that these auctions are an untapped goldmine for railway modellers, because the kind of people who would regularly do these auctions are people who are not looking for model railway equipment.
Yeah.
They have no interest in that. They're buying the furniture, like the real antiques.
Yeah. Well, and if no one else starts bidding, they'll just take a casual punt.
So occasionally they will take a punt, and then you end up with a situation like this guy selling
a couple of £100 worth of models for 20 quid.
Yeah.
Loco for 50p or whatever. Yeah.
And the question that's on my lips, and this is somewhat selfish, what have you got in the pipeline? Is there any goodies I could snaffle off you?
Currently, I've got nothing because, for the most part, a lot of my. It's why I say I'm not currently working with antique dealers. A lot of the core antique dealers that I used to work with have retired, made their money,
Right.
Or simply stopped.
Have you not thought about taking over the business? Like,
They sell it off to other dealers who they know will work on a similar routine. So it's rebuilding up with them again.
Well, have you not thought about going into business yourself? You always struck me as being like a little bit of a Lovejoy character.
No, I thought about it, but never.
Is this a trade that you kind of fell into rather than?
I'd call it my actual modelling hobby.
Right. Right.
Oh, there we go. Someone's 200 engines and 100 carriages and 200 wagons from my uncle, and died 2 months ago. Yep, sad but good.
But on the plus side, and I'm sure that your uncle will be happy that they've gone to a good home. But that in a lot of instances doesn't happen. And it does make you think about not just model railway equipment, but the other stuff that people are punting on because it's like, oh yeah, Granny's died, just clear the house and be gone with it. And you think there's missing Van Gogh paintings out there somewhere. They've got to be somewhere. They may be on Granny's walls, and she never knew what she had.
Back when they're still crapping you, was it? Okay. That's interesting.
It's an interesting point. So what manufacturers would you recommend in America? Because I always thought Bachmann were quite good. But in the UK, they're definitely Bachmann are.
They're the cut above, aren't they?
Yeah, well, certainly they were,
types.
but Hornby have caught up now. But I am curious what's considered the good stuff in America. Yeah, Russell Benton, yes, I'd like to see mine going to someone that appreciates and will run them. Definitely. I mean, yeah. I'm very honest with my partner about what this stuff's worth. We have a probably a slightly unusual relationship. We are married.
Talk to each other.
Yeah, we get on with each other. Like, wow, married 10 years actually. We've had our 10-year anniversary this year. But they collect retro computer games, and I've talked about these a lot. And from where you're sitting, you can see an awful lot of stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, you probably just about see in the edges shot the PS2 games racked and stacked. Imagine the rest of the room just shelved like that. And I know that they're worth a lot because she tells me, and I tell her what my model railway stuff's worth. So whoever pops their clogs first will be sure not to get ripped off when they dispose of the other person's collection. But that's not always the case. And the big joke is that when I die, I hope that she sells my collection for what it's worth, not for what I told her I paid for it.
Yeah.
But that's where I guess having a will is a good idea, because it may be that you want to pass your collection on, not necessarily to your other half who wouldn't know what to do with it, but maybe there's somebody else within your family, a nephew or something like that, who will appreciate it, and it would certainly help in matters if you put them down in your will and say, I believe that this person would make the most of stuff. Or even, they don't even have to be somebody in your family. You could have a very dear friend who you think, actually, that's somebody who I know who would appreciate these models. And you quite often see with when an elderly relative passes away, sometimes you get the kids just really don't want to know, and they won't even go as far as the house clearance. They'll just hire a skip and bin stuff. And you think over the years of all the good stuff that has been sent to landfill because the next of kin really just couldn't even be bothered with the legwork of doing a proper house clearance or even or doing anything with this stuff. And I'm always inclined to think of the number of lost Doctor Who episodes that have been in private collectors' arms and on the secret, that when they've passed away, the next of kin has just slung them out. It's like, oh, what's this? It's just a canister with some film that we can't even play. Sling it in the bin. Somewhere there's 10th Planet Part 4 went missing. It was nicked by somebody from the Blue Peter production office in the 70s. So logically, that film can, more than anything else, must still exist, and yet it has never resurfaced.
So Max's Hobby Productions actually brings up something I know a surprising amount about because I have a friend who trades in it. TT Track is a really interesting one because it's a really odd scale 3mm.
Is this the old Triang TT stuff?
Yes, tabletop.
I was always told that the problem with the track was that the plastic went very brittle with age.
It's the same as the Super 4. It does the same as that. No, the more it is harder to get hold of because it's they didn't produce as much of it. N gauge and double O gauge were already pretty well secured by the time, and TT was an oddball in the middle.
But Pico do 3mm.
They do 3mm track.
So you can get track to run it on.
Also, and actually, it's one that I find is really useful. TT kind of fell into the sidelines in most countries, but again, Ukraine. For some reason, TT is a popular scale in 3mm is a popular scale in Ukraine.
Well, the thing about TT was it was an attempt to fit more into ever diminishing space in the home, but it was very quickly eclipsed by N gauge, which turned up after it and basically did the space saving much better because it's 2mm instead of 3mm, and that's kind of why TT got squeezed out the middle. All right, let's have a look. Oh, excuse me. Let's have a look.
Big boy on YouTube. Yeah, that's been. I saw that running over.
Oh yes, I've seen the videos. It's really interesting actually. What it actually made me think was it's such a shame that one of the Garretts never got preserved in the UK, because I can imagine one of the Garretts on running on the main line tackling Licky Bank or something like that again would have been amazing. Let's have a look. Transporting Southeast. The money is from my uncle. It was 50,000.
Yeah, he says it further back up. It's his uncle's passed away recently. He's received a lot of models, and they've It's a sad one, but
at least they've gone to a good home. You think that if you hadn't been there in the family, it could quite easily have ended up at the 50p a month thing.
Could have ended up with me at some point.
And I think it's human nature. You never think about what happens after you pass, but sometimes it's worth having a little thought.
So Ham Shackleton, wife has passed away, and there's my only son now pursuing her interest in railways, model RC aircraft, hams, ready to give dear. Personally, what I'd recommend for you, Mr. Ham Shackleton, is I would recommend you itemise a list. Have a book with all the lists in, with all their prices and all that, so that when you pass away, he can just hand that off to someone who is a correct and honest dealer and just say, this is how much they're worth. No negotiating, no worrying. That's just how much they're worth. That's how much you sell them for.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is just bear in mind, and this is something that family friends going to get into the realms of. If you go through an intermediary, through a dealer, you will not get the full retail value, because that dealer's got to make a profit and there will be costs involved. So, I mean, in terms of a fair sale, what sort of percentage would you realise?
I normally say take 10% off just on the grounds that the model won't have retained value. Then take another 15% off for what the dealer will be looking for as a market share. So about 25% off its original market value when you bought it.
Right, so basically it will get retailed for around 75% original value.
Yes.
But how much would be a fair price to expect a dealer to offer you? Because obviously they've got to make their cut and their...
Well, yeah, that's what I said. Their cut would be about 15 to 25%. So if you'll sell to them at 75%, unless you find or research that your item has in fact completely crashed in value, or indeed
has gone through the roof.
Make sure that you price accordingly.
Your Hornby 00 Southern N2, which is a bit of an oxymoron, because the N2 was an LNER loco, but Hornby 00 just banged any old livery on that thing.
Which didn't make me surprised when the Great Western one with the actual Great Western.
Yeah, they actually tooled up
The
for a
taffy tanks.
proper Great Western Dome, and it's
Yeah.
because I've got one of them,
Yeah.
and it was just always mystified me. But it never reappeared in British Rail guys when they went over to all British Rail liveries. They'd never used that tool again. So somewhere there was languishing this tool, which never got used, which is most peculiar. But I suppose are there other ways to, if say you have no immediate relatives, I mean, what happens to your stuff?
If you have no relatives, or you have relatives abroad who write a consent form to say that they don't care, and will not come to deal with the problem, it will be handed over to, first of all, the Civic Council, who will commission just anyone who announces that they can do it. They tender each property out. First of all for clearance, and the second of all for evaluation for resale. That's just how they go. Usually these go to auctions. There's Wingett's auction that is in Wrexham. They had a great auction the other week because they had a huge collection of models that a guy just lived in a flat. He didn't even have a model railway. He just bought the models and stacked them up in neat rows. That's what comes.
And where does the money go?
Council takes. The clearance lot get paid, and then once that's done, all the items are put in auction, and after the auctioneer's taken their cut, then the council will get their money, just whatever is left.
And does that become their money, or is it?
Yeah, that just goes into the.
So that's what happens if you die with no immediate heirs, and you. So does that hold true? Just out of idle curiosity, say if you have a lot of wealth, but you have no immediate heirs, does the council just get everything?
And they do the research. They try to find someone who's worthwhile, and if not, and there is no one to come forward to claim, then it just goes into I think it goes into the treasury if it's solid cash.
So it's sort of like the Crown Estates type thing. Or I'm thinking about property. I mean, you could have like a very nice big house.
Those get auctioned off as well. Right. Those go into property auctions.
Let's have a look. Trainsporting Southeast. On other subject, I got a 3D printer for my birthday, so I made tank engine and 2 carriages and 5 wagons, and it cost me the grand price of £20. They have full-size carriage wagons and locos. 3D printing, I think, is very much the future to some degree.
Yeah.
It's almost like, we live in the future. We live in sci-fi, because this is the replicator from Star Trek. This is how it begins.
It is, but what I find is actually brilliant is that for donkey's years, there have been people writing up a technical on how to make a model, how to do things on plasticard.
Yeah.
So they're actually very detailed plans of all the shapes and dimensions that you need to make a model. So that's all there. It takes about 5 minutes to translate that through, and with some software you can just scan it in directly and the machine will work it out for you, and you can just make and print those models. I've got one. I found how to do a PAL brick, which is of course one of the ones which they had at
the little 4-wheel. They're almost like a conflat, but with
the extra
with braces at either end to hold the pallets of bricks.
Yeah, one of those. You can. There are the plans online, perfectly easy and free, that you can download of how to turn a standard triangle Hornby chassis into one of those. And all you have to do is 5 minutes. Okay, the triangle on that bit and the. And 5 minutes and print it off and just clip it straight on, which is a great way of getting all those really odd and bizarre wagons which didn't really see the light of day on the main line, but you do see a bit in preservation.
The PAL bricks survived being used as things like translator wagons,
barrier vehicles, and
a lot of the unsuccessful wagons just became barrier vehicles. I don't think BR ever built dedicated barrier vehicles.
No, they did for the Eurostars, because they also had to have a generator inside them if the Eurostar was being towed by a diesel.
Right.
And those ones, I think they're all in Fratton, but they are certainly all around because I've seen them once. And
I know, but back in the
odd
day,
things.
they used brake vans were a common thing, but also where old vans. I've seen a lot of old vans get repurposed as barrier wagons and HEA hoppers on the nuclear trains. And when they were first pressed into use, they were just HEAs. They still had the body on. You could have probably loaded them with coal, which was why they had the bodies removed, to stop them being sidelined back into coal traffic.
And then you do get some interesting ones as well, like Mark 1 brake vans. They were fitted with a whole ton of oddity extras for different uses, like being fitted randomly with blue square connectors for DMUs and.
Interesting point there, Ham Shackleton. No more buying a loco. You just buy the download code and make your own. No PMP, etc. I think 3D printing is still at the early stages because it doesn't turn up just like a ready-to-run model with all the tampo printing and everything.
I don't know. There are one or two, and some designs I really like, and other people I find it just extortionate. But certainly for scales like 009 and a few in 00, someone has scanned in the real thing, and then done their own scan of a chassis, so they can just import the chassis shape.
Yeah, shmish money.
Too much of that wine. And then just extrude it out and into the model so that just sits immediately straight onto the chassis after you printed it. So it is effectively ready to run as close as you can get to.
Right.
However, I found at the same time some people charge 30-40 quid for them basically just doing 5 minutes of translating a blueprint. And even factoring in maybe having to buy the blueprint, that can still be a lot less than just the 35 or £40 you find people signing for.
Dogger Bend Railway. Hi Jenny, guess what I saw in the weekend?
Was it a train?
I'm going to say either the big boy in America that's gone back on the track, or so I'm not sure where exactly you are. It could be Flying Scotsman, or Tornado. I know both of them have been doing the rounds. Let's have a look. Just Max's Hobby Productions. There is a YouTube video by my mate Vince of him restoring a #1 Trying Railways passenger train set. Would recommend you check it out. I think he did a very good job with it. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of videos on YouTube showing you how to repair pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Not just model railway stuff. I use it when I need to fix stuff on the Volvo. I actually find Haynes manuals are a waste of time.
Well, but they're the YouTube of their age, though.
Yeah, but they were rubbish. And quite often they're missing steps or not quite how your car actually looked. Or completely miss out the section. So in the Haynes manual for the Volvo 850, there is no section telling you how to remove the front wings from the car. But the front wings are removable from the car. They're held on with bolts. They're not welded on. But it doesn't tell you how to do it. Whereas
do you need to even take them off?
You do if you need to treat the rust problem that is endemic on that type of car.
I was saying, because Haynes manuals were all, when the vehicle was new, how you as a new owner would take it apart. And if you didn't need to do it then they wouldn't put it in, which is why.
Yeah, but if you wanted, say, to gain access to the screen wash reservoir, imagine it sprung a leak for whatever reason. It's sandwiched between the inner and the outer wing. The only way to realistically get easy access to it is to remove the outer wing. If you want to take the bonnet springs off for whatever reason, you have to remove the wings to actually get at them.
There we go. You live stream the big boy. Thank you, Dogger Bend Railway.
Called it. Yeah. There's some interesting videos going round, and it's amazing to see that beast running back on the line. And it's like I said to you, it's just such a shame in the UK that they never preserved one of the Garretts. I think they would have been an amazing machine in preservation.
It's actually fascinating now you mentioned Garretts. You never guess what you can actually find. I was quite surprised when I found it. You know what model you can get in O gauge?
In O gauge, a Garrett?
Yeah.
Who from?
There's a company, ETS Trains in Hungary, which hand makes them.
Gosh, how much?
I think they're 1,400 and something.
Oh gosh!
It's a painful one to look at, but I was there going, "Wow!" I hadn't actually realised that
Well, actually, big up to Hattons here, because Hattons, they did it in Double O in conjunction with Helgen, and they've just announced their first foray into N-Gauge is going to be the Garrett. So that means that they're available, ready to run in all the major scales.
Yeah.
Anea Oriti, guys, the video is buggy. Yeah, YouTube are having a few problems. So if we're in the magic of jerky vision, then that's probably it. I know a lot of live streamers are having a lot of issues at the moment. It's not just us. So unfortunately, I'm really sorry. There's nothing we can do about it. Let me know if the picture dies completely or the sound dies completely, and I will have to revert to typing messages. But certainly, it's a fault at YouTube's end. There's not anything we can do about it. Let's have a look. Train Sporting Southeast, just to make you annoyed. Any news on Great Model Railway Challenge?
Yes, I was on it last season. That's new news for you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's new to the channel. We have somebody who's actually been on it.
It's why I'm here and giving a hint. Hints and help.
I'm not at liberty.
So you thought you annoyed her. I really annoyed her.
Yes, you have, because we don't talk about that. Anywho, moving swiftly on. People have been asking intermittently about the progress up in the loft. It's coming along great. You'll have to watch Friday's video, and that will give you a full update on what I've been working on. There's certainly some interesting developments. Now, you've seen the as it is at the moment. Shut up, don't tell anybody. But we're a couple of videos ahead, but it's really going well. And incidentally, because basically people keep dropping in and out of the feed, you can watch the full feed later on YouTube if you either have bits you've missed or want to catch up, or even watch it again. But this is Derry. I have to keep saying that because every once in a while there'll be another comment going, so who's that person you're with?
In a bit it'll become meaningless and we'll all fade over.
Max's Hobby Productions. I think there's going to be a new season of the show. I know I heard that from somewhere. Yeah, you did hear that from me. There is definitely, I can tell you that there is a second series of GMRC, and I also happen to know that they might be starting filming on Wednesday. But I know you probably didn't hear that. I don't know, but
you shouldn't have heard that.
Yeah, there is a rumour doing the rounds that GMRC 2 could be starting some of their filming on Wednesday, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Duvan's GWR. Jenny, do you want to see my progress on my station building? Yeah, sure. Always interested to see other people's projects. And also, don't forget that in my comments for my loft layout videos as well, always good to hear about how you're all doing. If you've got any other tips on doing various scenery work, let me know. And also, if you've taken anything away and thought, actually, you've got some really good techniques there, then you can massage my ego with that. Max's Hobby Productions, looking forward. Who are the new hosts?
I thought at London they said that it was staying the same, didn't they?
As far as I'm aware, it's the same.
Yeah.
I've met the one who doesn't do
the one that isn't Tim.
Yeah.
He was at Ali Pally, yeah.
Yeah, I've basically met the one who doesn't do car DIY, SOS, PQP, whatever it's called. I'm not familiar with both of them, although I have met the guy who's not Tim, and he seems a perfectly nice chap. But I've never seen him on TV. If he hadn't been introduced to me, then in all honesty, he'd have just been some other punter. Max's Hobby Productions, new format then? No, I pretty much, as far as I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Well, technically I'm not allowed to. Well, no, because my contract's actually expired on that one, no.
No, I think...
From what I understand from the London talks, the format's staying the same.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because Pat Doyle did talk about it, so it is in public domain. And I don't think they're bothered about the actual format in terms
of... Well, no, they did a very good show. As far as they're concerned, they did a good show for the first time. And aside from adjusting some of the rules, and possibly
Not
raining,
enough, apparently, according to you.
Yeah, definitely not enough. And reining in the Tim, as many people complained about. Aside from those,
apparently, it was the problem with Tim, from what I gather, that basically, what's that? Dovan's GWR. It's on your Facebook. I presume that's the progress on the station. I'll take a look at that afterwards. But look, thank you very much for that. I'm really interested to see. Well, yeah, Tim. The problem was he thought he was being funny by taking the piss out of railway modelers, but he came across as being very snarky and almost like oh, look at these anoraks. And I think that essentially, it didn't go down well. In fact, we're getting diagnostic lights in the yellow and red just briefly there. Rotten Roller, my crap comment took 30 minutes to cross the pond. Tube is broken. Yeah, Philip Page is back. Ham Shackleton. Stream is gone.
Yeah, your thing's gone right at the top there. That's disappointing.
What's gone at the top?
Yeah, live video output low there. Stream health.
Where does it say? Interesting. Apparently.
Nope. Sound but no vision. Lag. Like to see a celebrity version of the Great Model Railway Challenge. What, you mean dragging... Oh, I don't know. The problem is having actual models that are celebrities and model.
They're getting a good feed. This is...
Someone in the middle. So... Celebrity version of Great Model Railway Challenge. The problem is you don't have that many celebrities who actually are interested in modelling. Aside from those who are already well known.
Yeah, aside from basically, I'm already here. No, I think you could have a look. See, you're back. Okay, now. Yeah, has that actually changed, or has that always been saying that?
No, that's drifted between green and from perfectly fine to red and yellow. And I'm kind of watching it throughout the stream. It's great.
According to that down there on OBS, we're in the green. It's dropped from 3 megabytes per second to about 2.6, 2.7. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Populist Revolt.
Wait. Populist Revolt, that fella's hair, wow.
Thank you. I normally have a hat on, to be fair.
Yeah, well, where did you put your hat? You not brought it up?
No.
Derry is
left it back downstairs. Yeah.
Derry is incognito without his hat.
Normally I have a very iconic hat that I was given by Hadrian. I think it was Hadrian Spooner. Yeah.
What, on the Biggest Little Railway shoot?
Yeah, afterwards.
Well, I'm sure you wore a hat on the
No, I didn't. I had my scarf.
Yeah,
big purple scarf. No, I didn't have that. No, I did have a hat on the first day. It was It was just as the sun was setting. I was standing in front of the lake.
When it blew in.
With a camera set behind me. It blew in.
You're not going after it?
I'm not. They weren't insured to do anything on water.
Yeah, but it was going to stop you. Were they going to go, no, Derry, it's not worth it?
This big security guard there going.
You're not saying to him?
Yeah, no, he was there going, no, you just... I was like, oh, okay. So and you just see it flash up at the very end of the first episode where the sun setting across Loch Ness, there is someone just silhouetted there. It's flashed up for like half a second. That's me watching my hat sink into the loch. And, it was only mentioned, it was only afterward that that was why I had my scarf, was because I needed something. My head was too big for the normal ones.
Oh, in my memory, I just remember you with the hat surgically attached. It's quite peculiar, actually. How memories can lie.
That I was surgically attached to that to a scarf I had wrapped around my head in a habit.
Yeah. So, did Hadrian go out and buy you a new hat?
We got talking when we were at Shrewsbury Steam Rally, and there was a hatter there that was selling Welsh wool, fine hats, and so we got one.
Oh, that's very good. Let's have a look. Sorry, Stefan Jones, you're fine on my end. Oh, matron. Right, let's have a look.
I'm actually quite impressed with the amount of people that are getting my name right. Normally I'm there going, no, it's not that spelling, not that spelling. Oh well. Yeah, well done all of you. Derry, with 2 R's and a Y.
Oh dear. Let's have a look. Trainsporting Southeast. Well, I know some of rule changes on Great Model Railway Challenge. I'm glad what they've done, but time was brilliant. He's just funny. Oh, Tim. Sorry, Tim was brilliant. He's just fun. I thought he took the rip out of Railway Modelers.
Well,
in all honesty.
No, the problem is with Tim is, and I had it at the time, was he's reactionary. He works off what other people do, and we were all just deadpanning him. So we had to do something.
I've actually, I've thought of potential witty retorts in the unlikely event I'm ever involved on that programme. I've thought of witty retorts.
What? I Don't Want You Here, which is my one from episode 2. Yeah.
Did they actually broadcast?
Yes,
that?
they did, and with subtitles as well.
What did he say to
He didn't. He just walked off.
Did he?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I know they filmed that about 2 or 3 times because they knew he got on my nerves. And
so what did he do to get on your nerves? I mean, because on day one when you turned up, he didn't just go, "Don't like you." He must have done something to yank your chain.
I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Really? They made you sign a contract that says you will never reveal how Tim pissed you off?
It comes in part of the formatting of the thing, which I've said I will never talk about. That I've signed the contract to say I'll say that, and how Tim acts beyond saying what is already well known, such as that he's a reactionary actor. I'm not allowed to say.
Did they make you sign that after the event?
Before and after.
Oh, right. But did it actually say that before the event? Or did they make you sign another one afterwards to cover you for something that happened?
No, it was just because it was mainly because there were too many YouTubers in the first series who were there going, yes, and we're also doing this, and we're doing that, and we're doing the other, and we're basically just basically
live streaming
it.
Well, so were they just telling everybody before they ever went on it?
Yes, and
I do remember social media was awash with people actually showing off what they were building, and I can remember talking to Daniela and saying, "Is this why am I seeing other teams' builds on social media when you're supposed to be keeping it under the radar?" And I think it made them pull their hair out in despair.
It did. I remember talking to them at Ali Pally about it, and it does. And it's actually it's as someone who's been on that show and who's done that, it is actually really annoying because if you reveal too much, they can't just get another team in, and they can't shaft you and tell you to go away and someone else.
Not by the time you've presumably got all the goodies and started build.
Started build, or you've only got a couple of weeks left. So they have to run with that, even though everyone knows all the plot twists of what's going to be on the show. That the Forley Flyers had everything basically pre-built.
So, just because I actually haven't watched it, but the Forley Flyers, what did they actually build?
They became notorious because they chucked out the rulebook completely.
What, just did their own thing?
Yeah, and they built a working railway yard on the space provided, kind of like you've got upstairs.
And was it a continuous run, or was it just like a chunk of sidings?
Just a rail yard. There was nothing at one end, nothing at the other, and DCC, an engine going backward and forward.
Do they have any points?
Yeah, they had points fitted. All of that was done, but they pre-built that because of course we pre-builds. It didn't actually define the total ground area of them, so they had pre-built the entire yard in one piece.
So what it was like, all on a piece of plywood. They just plonked down on top of the existing boards, type of thing.
Yeah, and they just drilled holes for droppers.
Isn't that's kind of Missenden Modellers as well seem to do something similar?
Missenden, they pre-built 40, 50 houses, 2 factories, 2 ships, and a port area. And the model that they built is actually astounding. It was at Alexandra Palace. It was a great model, and I really appreciate the team. But they towed the line, certainly. I'm not allowed to talk about the rule book, so I can't talk about the rules.
Oh, right, you have a contract that says you can't even talk
the
about...
The rule book's the format. We were only allowed to talk about what was shown on TV. So the missing modelers are mentioned, and it's explained what the rules are, which is I think 5 pre-builds. Buildings?
I thought it was 6.
5 or 6, one or the other.
Yeah.
And they'd grouped together a series of buildings into one.
So basically, they glued all, like, what you or I would consider to be a pre-build. They'd sort of stuck everything together until this thing became something that filled the actual board, which it might be within the letter of the rules, but it goes against the spirit. The spirit of the rules had been broken. Because the whole point was, from a TV company's perspective, they need something to film. There's no point in rocking up with a complete layout because they're in the business of making an interesting TV program. And if you just rock up with everything built, they can't do that. So what's the point?
6 pre-builds. Thank you, Angus the Trains. What happened with some teams? I was really rude. Was it like that? Well,
is it?
Off screen, certainly for my heat, it was great fun.
Because you were on with, there was the Blackadder Goes 4th team. What was their name?
Just Team Blackadder, I think it was.
Team Blackadder.
Yeah, that was a team of YouTubers who hadn't even met before. That's quite impressive.
And what was the third team in your heat?
That was the Trackline Ninjas, who were old Team D on
Big
Little Railway.
Of course, they were right. So, and it was the Blackadder team that went through. Because by the end they had what looked like a display layout, but I get the impression that they pushed the envelope a little bit on some of their pre-builds.
No, they didn't. No, in fact, it was great fun because with their...
I thought the trench system was quite a
Oh, sorry, I thought we were still talking about the other one. No, the trench system, the pre-builds. No, again, it's stringing to bits I can't talk about. Rules. Pre-builds could include large sections of scenery, and again, they pre-built all their trenches in cut into foam, and then most of the rest of the scene.
So presumably they had it all pre-cut. It just wasn't like decorated, as it were. So effectively, what you had was the
painting was what they spent most of the time doing. I mean, they're great models. They're great guys. I had a lot of fun with them.
Do you keep in touch with anybody else from GMRC, incidentally?
Not that I didn't know before then, basically. I mean, aside from the members on my own team.
Yeah, I mean, like Team Sci-Fi and the Trackline Ninjas pretty much all knew each other before because a lot of us had been on Biggest Little Railway. Angus's Trains. Hi to you, Jenny. I wake up at 5:40 a.m. just to watch your stream. Oh my word, I do. I feel honoured actually, and I truly mean that. That means a lot to me that people go out of their way to watch me. So really good to see. I know Angus's Trains. Big follower, good friend of the show, been on pretty much, I think you've been on all the live streams right back from the beginning, but it's always good to see you here. I know it is desperately early where you are. It's actually a bank holiday here in the UK, which outside of the UK, you're probably going, bank holiday? Where does the bank go? Does it go down the beach or something? But no.
May Day, which isn't most...
Well, a bank holiday is a curious thing that us Brits have. I don't know whether any other countries have it, where it's almost always on a Monday. The only exceptions are Good Friday is also a bank holiday, and therefore on a Friday, and Christmas Day and Boxing Day are also classed as bank holidays, and New Year's Day. So
that's kind of iffy on New Year's Day.
So imagine it's like an extra Sunday replaces your Monday. So you've got Sunday 1, Sunday 2, back to work on Tuesday. So today in the UK is a bank holiday, and that effectively means it's like a Sunday, but on a Monday. So there's an awful lot of people who are just dossing about, having barbecues, that kind of thing.
Trainspotting Southeast, was some of the Jeopardy on show just made up? Legally, they're not allowed to manufacture tension.
Sorry, what's this?
Sorry, some Jeopardy show just made up. They are not allowed to manufacture tension.
Yeah, we found that out on Biggest Little Railway because we were convinced that something like we were being goosed, and the truth of the matter was that it was such a logistical challenge that you didn't have to make things go wrong. They were just going to go wrong naturally. And I think with any TV program like that, you're going to have a clash of personalities amongst different people. A lot of people are going to feel the pressures of filming because you don't have long when you're filming any TV program. You've got to get stuff in the can. You don't have time to mess about. You don't have time to take your time. And also, there's certain aspects of filming any television program which can seem very irritating to people who are not used to it, such as reshoots, different angles. And it'd be like, yes, that's great. We need to move all the cameras and reshoot it from a different angle. And then they will interspace those shots. We had that on Biggest Little Railway with the team briefings.
But in terms of actual tension, no, that was not manufactured. There may have been times where some people would go and ask the same question multiple times, spaced across several hours to try and get different responses. But again, that's not really manufactured. There were certainly there are moments which would seem like they're manufactured. For example, with equipment being broken, or for example a poor delivery of equipment, meaning that a project is set back or whatever. That is actually just really bad logistics. They genuinely do not try to give you poor equipment.
When you're talking about poor, are we talking about GMRC or are we talking about BLR?
BLR, GMRC, quite a lot of TV shows where we're set back by poor equipment. That is because a television company doesn't have experience, not because they're actually trying to add it in.
You're dealing with people who, so for example, I did actually put Pat Doyle on the spot, and I said to him, so a railway's your thing then? And he just gave me a one-word answer of no. So he's not a model railway buff. So you've got to imagine you're dealing with TV people who don't necessarily share railway modelers' enthusiasm for actual modelling. They're probably like, oh, this is nice, isn't this model nice? But they don't know what it takes to build these things. And I can remember about 20 years ago now doing a TV shoot, and it was involving steam road locomotives, and the director from the TV company was like, oh yes, that's great, well if you just want to start it up and move it over there, that would be great. And so, what do you mean by it? It's a steam garret. If you wanted it in steam, you should have said 4 hours ago, because that's how long it takes to. We thought like just turn a key and away you go, and it isn't like that. And that's some of the things that you get up to logistically with TV people. It's not that they're trying to irritate you. Yeah. It's just that they simply don't know and have no experience of the thing they're trying to film.
Yeah. And were judges okay in the show? I mean, yeah, actually. I felt more sorry for them than I did for the modellers.
So what did they do all the time? Because they can't have been in your face all the time.
Well, they tried not to be, because, I mean, they're also modellers. And, I mean, Steve Flint, Kathy Millett, both well-known modellers. And they were actually holding back, trying to help us and going, how do you do that method, whatever? Because they're learning from us just as much as we're...
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, anybody who's familiar with YouTube will have seen Kathy Millett has had her own channel now for probably about as long as I've been on YouTube, and she does some amazing how-to instructional type videos. And she I think she models HO American is what her home layout is. But she is very, very innovative with the scenic techniques that she demonstrates. One of the things that always strikes me is when you're doing that, are you in the back of your mind thinking, like, I wonder, will she approve of my technique, or go, you should have done it this way?
Kathy, I found, was actually really good in just kind of like, you do it your way, I do it my way. I'll learn your way before I make a judgment.
Well,
the one I was always more concerned about was Steve, because he has seen everything.
Well, I don't see. This is the thing that I've been racking my brains over. I don't believe I've ever seen any of Steve Flint's modelling, and I've known of Steve Flint for longer than you are old. I've known of Steve Flint for about 30 years, and I don't remember ever once seeing one of his layout builds. So he's an editor. He's the editor for a Railway Modeller. I think he took over from Cyril Freezer, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Oh, yeah, he did, because he told us about it.
Yeah, so he's a big name in the publication world. He's seen a lot of other people's layouts over the years, but I've never actually seen what he models. You know, what does Steve Flint do in his loft?
I think he doesn't actually have time at the moment. I mean, he's editing a railway magazine. He goes all across the country.
He's been a railway modeller for like 40, 50 years. He must have built a layout in that time.
I think because there is one that Nick Freezer, Cyril Freezer's son, and several others of that from RM, they have built a no-gauge layout, and I think Alex Croft has just bought it from them.
Right. So does that include Steve Flint's modelling?
I think it does.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people said that they found he didn't come across well, but you obviously experienced all the bits that aren't shown on TV. So do you feel that maybe people have got the wrong end of Steve on that?
I actually felt out of the two of them, I felt Kathy was the one who got a bad rap. Kathy was actually was great, and she would work with us she would try to help us. She'd work with us. She was really good at not revealing what she was thinking. I mean, she's got a brilliant poker face. To the point where actually I was slightly offended when she was talking on the show at the end. I was just surprised, but she got a really bad rap because no one had heard of her. No one.
What is it? Nobody had heard of it. See, I've known of.
There were a lot of people after the show saying, "Oh, who is she? I've never." And I was going, "Well, she's on YouTube. She's quite popular on there."
See, I've known of Kathy. Kathy and I are subscribers of each other's channel. I assume she's still subscribed, but maybe she unsubscribed. But I discovered Kathy Millett. When did we go offline?
It says you're still live. Otherwise, it's just a really awkward pause.
Yeah.
You get some systems. So
right. I just we've been chatting away here, and I'll be honest with you. Are we? Right. Comments have started coming out. Sorry, we had to stop the stream and start the stream. I don't. So do we just pause and go like, oh, what's going on? We're getting weird error messages at this end. So the comments are all still coming in. That's fine. Kathy Miller. I first came across Kathy Miller about 6, maybe even 7 years ago. I found her on YouTube, so I knew full well who she was. And also, I think I'm on an online forum, which she's an occasional poster to as well. So we knew of each other. I believe, certainly she used to subscribe to my channel because you can actually see who your subscribers are. Whether she remembers me, I don't know.
There we go.
She keeps walking past me at shows. I know who she is. I don't know whether she recognises me, but I saw her at Worley. I saw her at Ali Pali.
I didn't see her at Ali Pali.
Oh, I did briefly. She walked past. She was fairly incognito. But what I found was interesting was I kept getting a lot of people coming up to me, especially at Ali Pali's. Oh, hi, Jenica. We watch your YouTube and that. And consequently, I didn't get to see a lot of the show, but she seemed to be unencumbered by people coming up to her. But maybe it's because in her videos she doesn't tend to appear on the screen as much.
Well, she shows what she's modelling, yeah.
Yeah, which maybe it's bad. I'm on the screen all the time because I'm hiding my crap quality modelling.
Don't ever get a high definition camera.
What?
Well, if you nothing.
High definition. Oh. Right, yeah. Oh, we're back. Tony Britton buffering now, no sound of vision. Oh, okay, buffering. Yeah. We're having a few issues here with YouTube, but I'm led to believe somebody said that other YouTubers have reported the same. There seems to be a massive issue with YouTube at the moment. So there we go. I'm actually looking forward to being able to be in a position to actually chat to Kathy Miller because until now
you will not get that chance on the show.
Why not?
You'll be modelling. She does not talk.
Who said? Well, I might be in the audience.
She doesn't like. Well, you might be in the audience. Even
No,
then,
I'm looking forward to getting an opportunity to chat with her at some point. Why are you saying I'm on the show?
Well, certainly. Haven't you been invited to go and fill out the audience at the final?
Oh yeah, they invite a lot of people.
Yeah, she just they invite big name modelers as well.
Yeah,
I'm going, but no, they said she and I got this from the first week. She doesn't talk to. She has this great poker face, and she doesn't talk to you about the modelling. She doesn't talk about it until.
I've got a great poker face. Watch this. I really can't stand alcohol. It's just I can't do it.
No, you got to just twitch at the bottom of your lip.
No, you're looking too hard. Zoe says you shouldn't play cards or gamble with me because I've got an incredible poker face. She says you can't tell what you're thinking. Where were we? Yes. The prologue. Right. Max's Hobby Productions synced for me. Right, we're back.
What themes they're going to do? Yeah, that was one that caught me out. But, I mean...
Transversing Southeast. I wonder what the themes are going to do in Great Model Railway Challenge Season 2. I don't know. Would you know any of them? I bet was it you who said that you were on it? Train Sporting Southeast. Somebody told me and Brian that they were on it, so we said, "Oh, go on then."
But people say it in the sort
of people say all sorts of things.
Oh, I remember.
People say I can sing, but it ain't true.
Because we had it with Great Model Railway. The first season where there were YouTubers there going, "Oh yeah, I'm on Great Model Railway Challenge." Did we see them? No, they just.
They did bin a lot of people. There was at least one team that got binned last minute.
Yeah, well, some people just pulled out and without. But
did they have a reason behind that? Why were they pulling teams, or did they have more teams than they needed in case?
With season 1.
Season 1, we're talking about.
I just look at the draw. I think it was. I mean, they didn't want a too big show, and it was
of one team that got canned just before. Baseboard and goodie delivery would have happened. They got canned.
I know someone had leaked the rulebook in its completion.
Oh.
Which was against everything that we've been told, and had also done a fairly solid. This is what we're doing.
When you say leaked it, what leaked it to who?
They just uploaded it onto our own web.
Oh, I never saw that.
I never saw it either, but I was told afterward by some of our...
Presumably they then contacted Andy York and asked him to take the post down, which he presumably then did.
Yeah, but it was followed by a quite long thing of, here's what we're going to do to counter each rule, here's what we're going to build, here's what we're going to...
Yeah, and that, again, that's really... what you got to remember is they're trying to make TV. It isn't a game. This is about making television. This is somebody's livelihood. And, if you leak stuff, it's a bit like, telling people what happens on the final episode of Game of Thrones. Yeah,
they all die.
Yeah, probably do, actually. They all die and have energetic sex. Because that's all that happens on Game of Thrones. But, you could read George Martin's books, and that would probably tell you no. But, it's not good to do that. So it's... it's well, what are we looking at? Oof.
That's what Max always seems to post whenever there's his connection goes down.
Okay. Trainspotting Southeast. Is there same number of episodes of season 1?
No, there's more. Because he says this in Ali Pally, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
There are more teams, more episodes. There are now semi-finals and finals.
Yeah. Did he say 8 episodes, or is it more than 8?
Because there are 6 heats, 2 semi-finals and a final, so it's more than 8.
I know it's a longer series, and apparently the actual viewing figures for Series 1 were above what Channel 5 would normally expect in that time slot. So Channel 5 were very pleased with it. Well, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't have commissioned another series. So it does look like GMRC 2 may be followed by a GMRC 3. If that success continues, I can see this being a reasonably long-running thing. Yeah,
it is. It's going to be longer. I think he was saying that they were planning to add more more of what we like to see of how to do things.
Yeah, and I think that what they may have underestimated is just how much of an appetite there is amongst the Joe Q public to actually see how these things are done. You know, you can go to somewhere like Miniature Wunderland and see the finished product, and yeah, it looks amazing. Or, you know, go to Pendon and see that model, and it's amazing. But, you know, people are interested in seeing how it's made. And it's why people are always fascinated with what's behind the scenes at film studios, because people want to see how things are made. Let's have a look. Yeah, Aiden 0206 judges are going to be the same. As far as it's still 2 judges, there's no extra judges, and they are still Steve Flint and Kathy Millett. And as far as I'm aware, the what I've been told is that the presenters are the same presenters as last time. So the guy from Caro SOS and the other one. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Ania Oriti, Flying Scotsman is young round. Am I correct? I think autocorrect has lost that. So. Flymo Chairman 1, right, I'm off to put the kettle on. Watching a white circle spin is less than fascinating. See you next week, Jenny. Sorry to see that. I think there's a lot of people having issues with YouTube. I've never known it this bad. According to us, we have a healthy stream. We're not getting any warnings. And we're uploading data at pretty much at the maximum. We're all in the green. So, sorry about that. Devans GWR, oh, you're taking the P, not those puns again. Philip Page, no sugar in mine, Flymo. Max's Hobby Productions, night Jenny, good luck with the video. We'll talk soon on another live stream. Yeah, anyway, looking forward to it. Always good to have you all along. It's been great having you along. We're not finishing just yet, though. We did start out talking about cheap model railways. But
then we got on to the Great Model Railway Challenge.
Yeah. But actually, you know, talking about behind the scenes, one thing that always fascinated me was seeing behind the scenes on Star Wars. Was it The Force Awakens was the newest of the new trilogy?
Yep.
Going to it's not Shepperton. It might have been Shepperton Studios. With a previous job I had for a company called PKE Lighting, and I saw behind the scenes of Force Awakens what they were, the special effects workshops there, and having to sign a disclaimer saying no pictures, no video, no talking about it, and it's all down to the fact that they don't want any of the content or the drama to leak. So,
well, it's the problem with Star Wars is how do you hide a Millennium Falcon?
Under a tarpaulin. There was only half of it. It wasn't the full ship.
Yeah.
It was like separate bits. I never saw that prop, but I did see some of the other props, like some of the Tatooine sets being made, the actual bits and pieces that are presumably then shipped out to Morocco, and various bits and pieces. And I couldn't take any photos. They were really, really clamped down hard on that. You just couldn't. You'd have been kicked off the site like as quick as you could go. Say cheese. Although I did get some behind the scenes photos on a different production called The Collection, which I think was shot for Amazon Prime.
It's one that I think I've come across while I was searching for Amazon Prime. Yeah.
Ooh. Well, I was involved in that.
Oh, well done.
Yes, and
you learn something new every day.
Oh, I thought I crowed and strutted about that.
No, you hadn't crowed and strutted about that one.
I've been involved with various things: Torchwood, Doctor Who, The Collection, Wolf of Wolf Hall, Star Wars passing through. I wasn't actually involved in that shoot, but it was happening.
Just delivered things.
Well, I just delivered things to all of them. I was working logistics for the lighting. What else? Songs of Praise. I did Songs of Praise where was it? Oh, somewhere near Croydon. Stately home near Croydon. Did Songs of Praise. What else did I do? I can't remember what else I did. a big flurry of excitement for PKE light. Oh, Broadchurch. Did Broadchurch. Which is interesting because they film a lot of the sets, including like his apartment and the police station, are all in one giant soundstage at Bristol Bottle Yard Studios, and it's a huge, almost like an aircraft hangar, and it's so big. I drove the lighting lorry into the hangar, and it looked like a Tonka toy in this building, and right in the middle they'd built this weird structure. It was like built out of brick and stuff. It was like a proper solid structure. Because they demolish it afterwards. And inside it had all just been plastered, and they were decorating it. And it was, when you went to his balcony and looked out of his balcony, it was all just green screen set up. There was no view off the balcony, but it was most peculiar. But what we discovered was that the Sky TV that was a prop was actually, not only was it wired up and working, so you could watch Sky TV, but it had the full package. So you could sit there and watch the film channels or the sport channels, which we found most peculiar. But you just weren't allowed to take much in the way of photos because they didn't want stuff leaking out. I met some interesting people. I met Lenny Henry for the second time.
That's always an interesting claim.
Yeah, and he remembered me from the first time I met him. Because I met him at a book signing in Preston. He was doing a stand-up gig in Preston. And beforehand, he was, just going walkabout. And when you meet Lenny Henry, I tell this story because he's the one that sticks in my mind.
I think we just lost a bit of time. Stream resumed, stream is continuing.
I
think we just missed something.
Hello.
That's all right. We should probably get back to our actual stream.
Yeah, sorry. Whilst we've been talking, apparently the stream cut out and then cut back in. So there's a lot of issues. I'm looking at the time actually. When we hit 2 hours, I'm going to call it a day because hello. No, it's okay. Devan's GWR. Yeah. We're having tremendous technical difficulties, and the technical difficulties are out of our control. Unfortunately, this is YouTube, and it appears to be affecting a lot of live streamers tonight. There's nothing I can do about it. It's nothing to do with the hardware at our end. So
you're still having problems with the stream?
Yeah, it keeps cutting in and out, but apparently other YouTubers are getting the same.
It's fine. It's fine every time I check it on my phone.
It's just randomly it'll cut out.
Yeah. Well,
so, can we just get a check? Everybody there?
So, yeah. Here we go. But heard about a couple of people from YouTube going on GMRC as well as Jenny coughing.
I cough a lot. I keep getting sore
Or
throat.
possibly he meant to put that in parentheses and kind of hint. But heard about people, they shouldn't have said officially whether they are or not.
Oh, what? Sorry. Who?
Yeah, I heard a couple of people from YouTube.
I have never confirmed nor denied that I'm on GMRC2. I may have had a twitch in my eye whilst saying I wasn't on it. But people have just kind of like gone, so you are doing it. And I keep telling people that those people who have signed up to do it are not allowed to talk about it, apparently, according to what I've heard. So
we certainly weren't on the first one, and that's how most TV contracts work.
Yeah. And same with Biggest Little Railway. We weren't allowed to talk about that until actually after it had been transmitted on TV, and even then there are certain things...
You're not allowed to talk about formatting or how the television company works. You're not allowed to talk about.
Oh, I don't remember seeing that in the BLR contract, but certainly there was certain things that you weren't allowed to talk about, and I had to give final editorial control to any articles I wrote about it for magazines. They had to go via the executive producers at the TV company for signing off, and they actually did make some changes, and I was very interested to see what it was that they changed, and they did explain it to me, and it was something that you would have never in a million years have guessed. Actually, I'm looking at the elapsed time. That's interesting. We've been transmitting, according to that, for nearly 2 hours, but
And
apparently
you've only had 1 hour, 1.5.
oh no! YouTube's about to crash out.
So, stream more off than on. What? I just said that. Are you?
Yeah.
Did you say to film bits of it? No, you're not allowed to film. You're not allowed to take your own camera in.
So, how have some people got pictures of?
You're not allowed to film in there. We were allowed to select pictures. I mean, Kathy Millett is the one who primarily was allowed to. And
Why
Steve
did she
Flint.
get to? Oh, chockies! You eating chockies over there?
Yeah.
Right, we're going to wrap this up because it's quite clear that we've got some serious issues with YouTube. So, what I'm going to say is thank you very much for watching this. Don't forget that you can also catch up on YouTube. The full video, hopefully it really will be the full video and not just suddenly stop and start.
1.5 hours of it.
Yeah. So, I'm going to just type in the chat room. So basically, you can catch up with the full video on YouTube afterwards. It's been really great to have your company, and a big thanks to Derry, long-time fan of the show, been on a number of videos, and now you can say you've been on the live stream. You joined the hallowed experience that has been only so far being given to Brian and Les. And Zoe, but Zoe doesn't count. But
tell her that she's watching this.
Is she?
Yeah. Well, she was, wasn't she? She said she was.
Yeah, but she'll have got bored dead quick. But look, anyway, take care, everybody. Don't forget that we got videos going up every Wednesday and Friday. And there's a lot of exciting developments up in the loft. So don't forget to look out for that on Friday. Big update video. You will enjoy that and guarantee it. And in the meantime, you take really good care of yourself. And happy modelling to you all. And don't forget leaving the comments about how your own modelling is going. Always good to hear from you all. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take really good care of yourself. And bye for now.